Good morning, and welcome to Redeemer Lutheran Church. I'm Pastor Gary Lodeholt. There once was a king who offered a prize to the artist who would paint the best picture of peace. The contest stirred the imagination of artists everywhere. Many artists wanted a chance at winning the prize. Paintings from far and wide began to arrive. The king looked at all the pictures, uncovering one peaceful scene after another as the onlookers clapped and cheered. The tensions grew as only two pictures remained veiled. As the king pulled the cover from one, a hush fell over the crowd. It was a picture of a calm lake. The lake was a perfect mirror for peaceful, towering mountains all around it. Overhead was a beautiful blue sky with fluffy white clouds. Along the grassy shore, a flock of sheep grazed undisturbed. All who saw this picture thought that it was the perfect picture of peace. Surely this was the winner. The king uncovered the last painting, and the crowd gasped in surprise. Could this be peace? This picture had mountains like the previous painting, but these were rugged and bare. Above was an angry sky from which rain fell and which lightning played. Down the side of the mountain tumbled a foaming waterfall. The crowd could almost feel its cold, penetrating spray. This did not look peaceful at all. But when the king looked closely, he saw a little bird had built a nest on a branch of a tree that reached out in the direction of the tumultuous waterfall. And there, in the midst of the rush of angry water, undisturbed in her stormy surroundings, sat the mother bird on her nest in perfect peace. This was the picture the king chose. This week and next week we are looking at things Jesus said after his resurrection, and what we are discovering is that these words have special meaning in our lives, especially because of the resurrection. Today I want to look at what Jesus said to his disciples the first time he appeared to them after he rose from the dead. Again, you likely know the story. The disciples were locked in a room with the doors closed and bolted. And the first question has to be, why? The Bible tells us it was for fear of the Jews, and what that means is that the disciples were afraid for their lives. They had just seen their leader die an awful, gruesome death at the hands of the Jewish leaders, and it would only be natural to conclude that if the Jewish leaders could do that to Jesus, and if the Jewish leaders really wanted to stamp out this Christian movement, then those disciples would be next. I suspect they jumped at every noise. A knock on the door brought pounding hearts and trembling chests. They were out on that limb near the waterfall with the angry sky, but there was no peace. Then, even though the doors were locked, Jesus suddenly appeared among them. That had to startle them too. And that's when Jesus said, "Peace be with you." In Hebrew, he would have said, "Shalom." To this group of ragtag, frightened, threatened followers, Jesus said, "Peace be with you." It's hard to overstate the comfort his words were to those disciples. Jesus is saying, don't be afraid. I'm here. In fact, don't be afraid of anything. I'm here and you are in my hands. I've got this. You never need to be afraid of anything again. Now that's comforting, but there's more. You see, the Jewish idea of shalom is much more than just peace. It conveys the blessing of well-being. Jesus is also telling them that everything is all right now. Fear can be put aside, and life, good life, joyful life, can be embraced again. And it's not just that, but that peace, that shalom, is lived out in community. They can have peace and well-being with each other. The divisions, the distrusts, the fears, the differences that divide us can be put away. God loves us each more than we can grasp. God loves us all just that way. When we share the peace in our worship, this is the kind of thing we are supposed to be doing. We are supposed to be reconciling with one another, forgiving our divisions and distrusts, and sincerely wishing well-being for one another. We alike are loved by God, sisters and brothers in God's family. Every year I am struck by these first words of Jesus. Every year I find deeper and deeper meaning to them. I can't think of a single thing I'd rather the first words of the resurrected Jesus to his disciples be. On the branches of our lives, may we nest and rest. Peace be with you. Thanks for watching, and remember to let this day belong to God.